Well, good evening and welcome to Real Fellas Talk Sports. Must be Wednesday night, must be 8 o'clock. We're going to chop it up about what's happening in the world of sports, and we'll spend a lot of time on the NBA. I am joined by my good friends and lifelong buddies. First, let me say hello to Go Earl. Earl, how you doing this evening?
Charles, I'm doing great. It's great to be spending time with you and Larry, and I'm looking forward to the discussions that we're having this evening.
Outstanding. And my other lifelong good buddy, Larry Abels. Larry, how you doing this evening?
Hey, Chuck, I'm doing well. And just like Earl, I'm looking forward to the show as usual, and especially with you moderating. So whenever you're ready, let's do this.
Well, unfortunately, our fourth amigo, or David, won't be with us this evening. We gave him the night off. Hopefully he'll join us next Wednesday.
Or did he take the night off?
Or did he take the night? I think he called it in. But we miss you, David, if you're watching. Well, look, let's get right into the playoffs, man. I have really, really enjoyed the playoffs. I didn't think that I would, quite honestly. I mean, I knew I was going to enjoy it, but not as much because my guy LeBron and the Lakers were not in. So I didn't know how this was going to play out, actually. And I think it's created a lot of interest. I think there's some young emerging stars. And I want to cut right to a game last evening. And we're going to go by series by series. So let's talk about last night. And let's talk about the Memphis-Minnesota game that I thought was wonderful. It was a great game. And let's start with you, Larry. Do you want to give any overview on what you thought of last night's game between Minnesota and Memphis?
I thought the game was exciting, like most of their games have been, but they both look like what I would say inexperienced teams. So I wonder, I look for Memphis to win the series. Both of them have great talent, but I wonder what they'll do in the next round. But as far as this series goes, they seem to be pretty evenly matched. There's a 3-2 count would suggest.
Hey, so Earl, did you think, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen much of Minnesota this year. And quite frankly, it has been an entertaining series. I expected Memphis to really dominate this series, and that has not happened. What did you think of last night's game?
I thought it was a fabulous game. Went down to the wire, and I thought that I have been dogging Ja the last couple of weeks because he just had too many damn turnovers. And I'm like, I see why Memphis is winning without him because they don't have as many turnovers. But I am in his camp. He is a superstar. He just had a couple of bad games, and he came out to be the Ja that I was expecting. I thought it was a great game.
I did too. I thought like you. I was a little surprised. I didn't think Ja had been playing as well or as well as his banner of being the next budding superstar point guard like a Iverson or Isaiah Thomas, of something of that nature. But he shut me up in the fourth quarter. He had 18 points in the fourth quarter and 16 in the last 6 minutes. And I got to tell you, that dunk he had, I haven't seen a dunk like that in a long, long time. So what do you think of Ja, Larry? What kind of a player do you think he is? And do you think he is officially a superstar, or is he on the rise to be a superstar?
Well, I think he's getting there. He's very, very dynamic player, very athletic player. He relies a lot on his athleticism. I'd like to see him develop a better jump shot. As I've told you offline, I think Minnesota did a good job of packing the lane. The takeaway where he shoots, I think he shoots 80% of the time in the paint. And in the playoffs, teams adjust. Memphis didn't seem to adjust to that. And maybe it might have been hitting open shots. I heard their coach say, if we hit some of our open shots, we'll be all right. So I guess in the second half, they did that a little bit, open things up for him down the stretch. But I think he's a great player.
Yeah. So listen, guys, I really was impressed with that dunk. He put that thing from back behind his head, and he slammed on the guard. And it was at a critical point in the game. I mean, how do you rank? I know this is maybe a little unfair, and I might be catching you guys off guard, but where do you rank that dunk? Earl, do you think that's one of the best dunks you've seen?
I try not to become a prisoner of the moment,
Right,
as most sports fans today seem to be. But whether it was when the league first started, the ABA, Urban Coalition, or whatever, it is one of the top dunks I've ever seen. It's not no recent. This not no recency, bias recency. That was one of the top dunks. I'm not gonna say it's the best one. I can't name off my hand which one was better than that one I've seen. But to answer your question, yes, it was one of the best dunks I have ever seen.
What do you think, Larry? Was that dunk spectacular enough to rank amongst maybe some of the top 10 dunks you've ever seen at that level?
I happened to see a show today that showed dunks in the playoffs, and they maybe showed 5 or 6, and they showed Tracy McGrady dunking over big
Sean Kemp.
No.
Sean. Oh yeah, Big Sean that played for Dallas, the 7'4" guy.
They showed him almost jumping over him, and he's like 7'6".
Right.
They showed John Kemp dunking on Alton Lister and pointing at
Golden State
after it. Yeah, and all of these were playoff dunks. And then Vince Carter was one of the panelists, and he called up his cousin and said Tracy McGrady. Tracy was the one who dunked. I'm missing one of them. Gosh.
Right.
But they had like 4 of them there, and he was one of them. So in the playoffs, they were saying it was one of the best dunks in the playoffs.
I mean, I tell you, when it happened last night, I almost fell out of my chair. So I was very impressed with that. So now it's up 3-2, Memphis, and they're going back to Memphis. Who wins?
No, they're going to Minnesota first.
I'm sorry. You're right. They're going to Minnesota because Memphis had the second best record in basketball. Who's going to win the series? Larry?
I look for Memphis to win it. I don't know whether it'll be 6 or 7 games.
Right.
But I look for them to win it. I think they have to shoot a little better. Jaren Jackson is really giving them nothing. He's someone that really normally scores for them. So maybe if he has one decent game in the series, that'll be enough to put them over the hump with an easier win for them.
Right. He has to stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah.
Stupid fouls at that. Earl, who wins the series between Minnesota and Memphis?
Memphis closes it out the next game. It's going to 6.
Going to 6. It's over. Good. Well, look, let's I think we've beat that one up. Let's go back to the Nets Boston series. You know, Boston swept the New Jersey Nets 4-0. And I thought the Nets were coming out of the East. So that shows you what I know.
The Brooklyn
I'm
Nets.
sorry, the Brooklyn Nets. Keep calling them New Jersey. Good gracious. I was surprised that KD and Kyrie and those guys couldn't muster at least a competitive series. Maybe I've watched Tatum grow up in front of my eyes as one of the top 5 players in the league now. What happened in that series, Larry? What happened?
Actually, that series was pretty close. Even though it's 4-0, it was only 18-point differential for 4 games. That's a pretty narrow differential, but you know, Boston won all the close games. What happened to me was Boston played better defense than Brooklyn does. Brooklyn's they're relying on outscoring you every game.
Right.
They first game they bounced Durant a lot. You know, he ended up shooting like 14 or 15 free throws, but he struggled from the field, and they challenged every shot he got. Kyrie got 39. Then they put the pressure on Kyrie after game 1. He couldn't seem to do it. But other people on the team were making up points. Brown would have a good game every now and then, you know, and they hung in there. But Boston had 5 guys that could guard the perimeter. Switching made no difference. They stayed on top of them. And by the same token, Brooklyn doesn't really have any defense.
Right.
You know, they're very weak on defense.
They are.
So I think that's the difference. I mean, Brooklyn still has a lot of firepower. They ran up against the wrong team.
Hey, Earl, do you think that the Nets coach should take some of the blame, and do you think he'll be fired?
I'll answer that question once I weigh in on the last question that you didn't ask me about when you asked Larry about.
I apologize. I was rotating the questions.
It's nothing to apologize. You got 1,000 topics in your head.
This is Chuck's show too.
Right. No, but go ahead, Earl. Tell me what you think happened in the Boston Brooklyn series.
That's just it, Charles. The sports doctor is befuddled. I have no idea what happened. And I want to ask this question. How long has Kevin Durant been in the league?
14 years. I think you're going where I'm going.
Okay. So by what I'm seeing, I guess what you guys are trying to tell me.
Not you guys.
Okay, what people are trying, or what my eyes are telling me, that this Boston team is the best defensive team that he has faced in 14 years. Is that what you guys are telling me? Because I've never seen Kevin Durant beat defense, and until this series, I thought he was the best player in the game. He's no, I never longer think that at all. It's like, I don't understand what is going on. I don't understand how him, Kyrie, or Trae Young, superstars, could just play like butts the whole playoff series. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I've never seen those three get shut down like that. What is going on? Is Boston's defense the best defense, Kevin Durant? Obviously, it seems like it's the best.
It's one of them.
For 14 years.
It's one of them. But remember, they didn't beat them by that
much.
That
way before. Like, he looked scared. He looked timid. He did.
Oh, they went after him. They went after him. I mean, they were determined that.
But no one's been going after him for 14 years.
Well, I haven't seen anybody go after him like that.
Well, hold on. Earl makes a good point. Last year, when the Nets played the Bucks in what I thought was as great a series as there was in the NBA last year in terms of the playoffs, it was a Game 7. The Game 7 went to overtime. It's 115-111. Durant had 49. Giannis had 40. 2 games before that, KD had 48. And he had Harden on one leg and nothing else. And he couldn't be stopped. He couldn't be stopped. I don't think that was the KD I just saw. I don't.
Well, you know what?
Sorry.
Boston.
I thought maybe he got older.
Boston's going to play. Well, he definitely got older, but I think very short sample size here. I mean, I'm not ready to throw him out yet.
Right.
And I think he ran up against a good team. I want to see what Boston and Milwaukee. I think that's going to be another challenging game. And I wonder what they're going to do with Giannis.
Yeah. And you're right, Larry. Miami did it to Trae defensively, and they did it with 2 starters out, Lowry and Butler. And so maybe the theme is defense here in the East so far, is that those 2 teams, Boston and Miami, their defensive efforts were amazing.
They picked up Trae in the backcourt, and they put what's the guy Tucker that guarded Durant pretty well. Got to guard somebody closer to his size, and they were denying him the ball even before. They picked him up in the backcourt, so somebody else had to bring the ball down, and they took them out of their offense, and they were doubling him. He had to get the ball up. Now I still expect him to get more than 11 points last night, but
Trae, yeah. Well, Trae is still growing; he's smaller, etc. But I agree with Earl. KD and Kyrie are supposed to be special. And I don't know that I saw that, except for the one game. Well, I mean, Durant had 39 in the last game but he had 31 shots. He had 31 shots.
You know what? That was the worst 39-point game I've seen before.
I actually tend to agree with you.
Not that I can remember a lot of 39-point games.
I say this. I wonder how many teams still would have beat them, because remember that out of 4 games, there's only 18 points difference. Every game was close.
Which is another thing. KD usually closes. Kyrie, I thought that was their thing, and those claims were close with 5 or 6 minutes to go, and they just couldn't close.
Well, they don't play defense. They don't play defense.
Right.
Other teams can close on them.
This goes back to the original question that you asked me, that you wanted me to ask, since you are the moderator. This is an example of how I don't even want to get into how the NBA goes with their hiring. But this guy's never coached college. And he gets out. Oh, here's a team. Here's a team, Steven. Of course he's got to go. He's horrible. He's made no adjustments. He's horrible. He's got to go. You guys, poster boy Steve Nash has got to go, or the Nets are going anyway.
I agree. I didn't think he made the right adjustments, and maybe there are adjustments to be made, but that's his job to figure that out. And I don't think he did. And I looked over at his face. He didn't look like he was in control, to be honest with you.
In the third game, Durant didn't even touch the ball the last 6 minutes of the game. Come on, we talking about those adjustments. There's plenty of adjustments we need. Kyrie, the earth is not flat, and give the goddamn ball to Durant. Get the pick and free him up.
Could the lesson be that no matter how great your team is, if your players don't actually play together during the whole season,
that's true.
It might not be much anybody can do, especially when you go against a good team. I thought they felt like they could just flip the switch on. but they went up against a team that had jailed. And even Kyrie said that, which was incredible. He said, well, other teams were able to jail. I'm like, maybe if you had got the shot, you could have, your
Could have
team
gelled with these guys. Right. So is Tatum now, again, I know Tatum was a great player, but after watching this series, I thought he was the best player in the series. And is Tatum now one of the top 5, top 7 players in the NBA? Would you put him in that elite group? Go.
You know what? I felt this whole series, I felt the same way I felt when I started saying that Kevin Durant was better than LeBron James, was in the last playoff they played, and he came down and he shot that three right in LeBron's face. I said, Sports Doctor, you're witnessing the change the baton. They're changing the baton. You just thought that shot made it. I thought I would never. I'm telling you, before this series, I thought Kevin Durant was the best player in the NBA over Giannis, Embiid, and everybody. I'm feeling right now that I can't even believe it. I don't. Am I being delusional or am I in denial? I'm feeling right now that if you ask me right now, and I love Kevin Durant, who would I would take if I just went by this last series? I know Larry said he just had a bad series. I would take Tatum over Durant right now. I know I'm tripping because Kevin Durant's like he's still the best in the league. I mean, he just had a bad series, but I would take Tatum over him right now. I know I'm tripping because Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA. He just had a bad series, and I just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah,
I don't think is better than Durant. I'm being a bit silly now, but.
It's a two-way. He showed me a lot of two-way game. I mean, offensively and defensively. Right. To Larry's point, Larry, do you think he's now one of the top? I don't know, 5, 7 players in the league now.
He's definitely trending in the right direction.
Right.
I'm not gonna. Again, I'm not done with Durant yet. I think Boston has a team has great defense. I rarely see a team where everybody on their team can guard people on the perimeter. Then when Williams came back, they had somebody in the middle when you drove by them. And Brooklyn still put up – I mean, it wasn't like they wiped them out. I mean, I know it's 4-0, but all of those games were competitive. And I think if Durant faced different players and maybe if Kyrie had been there earlier and their team had more of some better synergy, maybe they would have made a couple of more shots. I don't know.
Hey,
I give Boston credit for beating them, though. That's all it is. I'm not. And he is trending in the right direction.
Let me ask you guys this: before this series, did you have any questions about Kevin Durant's handle?
No, I didn't.
This guy, he looked horrible.
He turned the ball over a lot, didn't he?
He looked.
He had a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on.
They've got questions there. Should we even spend a second? Is it even worth talking about Simmons, or should we move on? Comment on him. We won't even comment on that, will we? No. Let's move then. Let's move then to the.
He wasn't even in the playoffs.
No, let's not even do that. Let's move to the Miami Atlanta series. I know it's over. I know they've closed it out. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but. Miami's defense was tough, and they was tough without 2 starters. Butler wasn't playing, and neither was Lowry, and they shut Trey and those guys down. Larry, do you have any thoughts about that series, and were you impressed with their defense, and was their defense as good as Boston's?
Well, their defense was good. They weren't playing as good a team as Boston, number 1 seed and a legitimate number 8 seed. I don't know if Brooklyn might have been a little better than your normal number 7 seed, but yeah, they shut them down. They had a good game plan. And they took Trey out of the game. I mean, they took him out of the game. Simple. I think Tucker's a big addition to their defense, and guys like Jimmy Butler, Bam, all of those guys play defense.
They do. And they can switch and check everybody. Yeah. They can check a small or a big. I agree. Earl, what did you think? Any comments about the Miami Atlanta series? Were you surprised with Atlanta this season, period? They made a heck of a run in the Eastern Conference last year. They brought their whole team back. They signed all those guys. I thought they were disappointing during the regular season, and I thought they were disappointing in the playoffs. What do you think?
I'm not surprised at all. I was telling Charles and maybe you, if not you, some other person on our staff that was all up on Atlanta's squad.
It was me.
Man, Atlanta's horrible. They're not horrible, but they're not no playoff team. They're bums. I'm not surprised. I was surprised that they made a run last year. Maybe that's the question you should have asked me.
Right.
But this performance, I wasn't surprised at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It was pretty, yeah. They've got to make some decisions on that team too, although they're young enough that continue to grow together. But maybe they need to add a veteran on that team. I don't know. But
They overachieved last year.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, but I still would have thought they would have at least been like 5th or 6th.
Right.
You know.
Right. Well, let's talk about a good series that's happening right now. And boy, what I would give to have it happen too. So Philadelphia was up 3-0 on Toronto. And Embiid, who is one of the MVP candidates coming into the playoffs, was looking great. He had a great game winner up in Toronto the other night. And then they've lost their last 2. And I think game 6, if I'm not mistaken, is in Toronto.
Yeah.
And Doc Rivers is their coach, and he has blown 3-1 leads multiple times. Larry, could Philadelphia lose this series?
Yeah, because number one, Embiid appears to have a thumb injury.
He does.
I noticed in the first half of the game he was going inside a lot. The second half of the game, all jump shots. Now I don't know whether he's just fatigued or if somebody's banged him a couple of times.
Right.
The guy with the beard, I talked to my friends in Philly. They're a little upset with him. They don't even say his name. They say the guy with the beard is that putting out. So, and Toronto has a team that got Barnes, that rookie of the year, I think.
Yeah,
he recovered from that injury.
He did.
And that's another team with a bunch of 6'9" guys that can play good defense.
Yeah. I
still think Philly should be beating them, but they seem to have Philly on the ropes right now. I know Philly doesn't want to have a game 7 with them.
No, not with Doc Rivers as their coach. And I think Nurse is a good coach too. Hey, Earl, do you think that well, first of all, do you think Toronto will beat Philly in Toronto in game 6?
No.
You think Philly will close it out?
I think Philly will close it out. I think y'all tripping. I'm telling everybody, the press, you, well, not Larry, he knows Embiid is good, but everybody's tripping. So they ain't winning 4-0. This series is over. Don't worry. Y'all better watch out for Philly. That's all I'm saying.
The sports doctor has spoken, Larry. You hear that?
I don't think Philly can beat Miami.
Well, the sports doctor.
I want to see that series.
All right.
I don't think they'll beat the sports doctor.
Well, I tell you what, I love chaos, especially in this. If I would give, I don't even know what I would give to have Toronto beat Philly in Toronto the next game they play, and then have a game 7 in Philadelphia. You talking about the pressure on that 76ers team and Doc, and in a city like Philly and the way their crowd is, that would be a wild night, my friend. All right, let's move on. Let's move on from that game to let's move out west. Am I missing anybody in the East? Oh yeah, the Bulls and the Bucks. That series is over. We don't have to spend. Yeah, no. Let's move on for that.
I'm going with Milwaukee in that series.
Huh?
I'm going with Milwaukee.
I know. Yeah, I think we all are. I think that series is over, as they say. Well, let's go out west. One of the teams that I've always found a little interesting because, again, like Memphis, I looked at their roster in December and I didn't know how Dallas was winning. I really didn't after looking at that lineup. But they are playing really well, and they did win 51, 52 games this year. They are up 3-2 on Utah, although game 6 is in Utah. Earl, who wins that series?
Between Utah and
Dallas. And Dallas is up 3-2.
That series is over too. Dallas wins, to answer your question. Dallas wins that series. Now I am surprised about that, but you've been blowing Doncic for, and Doncic is very, very, very good player. Great, he's a great player. But I'm not on the chip like you are. But to answer your question, Dallas will win this game. Utah, they're perennial disappointment.
In the playoffs.
They're in the playoffs.
Hey, Earl, I'm going to take that as a victory for you to acknowledge that I had been talking about Doncic, and you finally said, you know what, Chuck? I might be on to something, huh?
No, I mean, look, let's not kid ourselves. Of course, I say some outrageous things sometimes, but I don't say double outrageous stuff. Now, for me to say that this guy's not a good player, then I don't need to be on this show, or I don't need to be talking about anybody about sports. I don't say just crazy. I don't talk out the side of my neck.
Right,
You know?
right.
Doncic is a good player, but I'm surprised that Dallas is winning. But then again, I'm not surprised because you know what?
The coach is doing a good job too.
He got to go too. Their front office needs adjustment.
Which one? Which up front office? Utah?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I've always said there's 2 seasons, regular season
It's a
and the
hard
playoffs.
job. Who wants to go to Utah? I know David is cringing because he's a small market champion, but who the hell wants to live or go and play in Utah? So they got a real hard job over there. Nobody wants to go.
And they've been good. I mean, they have been really good for the last few years. They just can't get over the hump in the playoffs. Larry, who do you think wins that series? And what have you thought? And what's your thoughts about the series?
When Dallas won 2 games without Doncic,
Yes,
I knew Utah was going to be in trouble. Now, Utah surprised me when they won the first game that Doncic played, but then Doncic got things back on track. I look for them to close the game out. Plus, Mitchell was hurt. He got hurt in the last game. So I don't even think they would have beat him with Mitchell. Utah, historically, I think has had decent teams, field decent teams. This year, they're a little weak. Normally, they can get out past this round right here.
right.
They can't even, losing in the first round is they're heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Although they have a great All-American point guard and Mike Donnelly, but we won't spend any time on that. So you think? What do you think? So you think Dallas wins this series?
Yeah, next game.
Next game, and so does Earl. I agree with you too. So let's see what happens there. Do you think Dallas could go far? How far can Dallas go in the West?
Dallas is the number 4 seed, and they play.
They probably play Gold. Will they play Golden
Phoenix?
State
No,
next?
Phoenix or
Phoenix next.
Yeah, I think they're the
Or the
number 4
Pelicans.
seed. Aren't they the number 4 seed? Yeah. Memphis is number 2.
Yep.
So yeah, they'll play Phoenix or the Pelicans, and without Booker.
Although I saw something that Booker might be back soon.
Well, I think Phoenix will need him. I hate that so many people are getting injured in these
Playoffs. In
yeah,
general.
it's taken away. Even in the Bulls game tonight, Zach LaVine is in COVID protocol
for the 3rd time.
Yeah, somebody else is hurt on their team.
Caruso has a concussion.
Yeah. Not that they were going to win anyway, but
right.
injuries are mounting.
And is LaMelo Ball playing too? Is he healthy? No, he's out too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been out the whole
that's a lot
for the rest of the year.
Okay, let's move on to Golden State and Denver. Now, I think that series is over, but let's get some comments. Larry, what do you think of that series? And by the way, do you think now Golden State has a big 4? And I'm including Poole in that. Do you think he's almost caught up to the rest of the 3?
Oh yeah, I mean he's certainly a valuable weapon on their team. Yeah.
Hold.
I know.
I'm sorry, Larry. I apologize. I'll interrupt after you finish. I'm sorry.
I think he's referring to Draymond Green, Curry, Thompson, and now Poole.
Yes.
That's the big 4.
You already knew what I was going to ask him.
Yeah.
When he said,
Dude, I think
who was their big 3?
those guys got 3 rings.
Okay.
I'm just what big 3 are you referring to?
Draymond, Clay, and Steph.
Yeah. So to answer your question, he is there.
I know Draymond is the glue guy and he does all the dirty shit, but is he one of the big 3? I'm just asking because
on that team, yeah. Matter of fact, they've sort of started winning when he came back.
Exactly. He's been
for that team, Earl. He's not like a.
Okay. For that team, he is. But and I'm trying to be facetious, but he's not a legitimate big 3. But he's a big 3 for that team. Is that where we go? Is that where we going?
That's what I think we're talking about.
Yeah.
For that team. And Poole is a nice addition to them.
He is.
Definitely a nice addition to them.
Yeah, he might not be exactly on their level yet, but he is trend. That's another guy that's trending in the right direction.
You're right.
It'll be interesting to see if they can retain him because I know they spent a lot of money on Draymond. They spent a lot of money on Clay. They spent a lot of money on Steph. And Poole is going to, he's going to command a lot of money as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him.
They're going to keep him. They're already the highest luxury tax team, and they're going to keep him.
They're just going to keep paying.
He's 20 something,
right?
Steph is like 34. I know Thompson's been around for a while, as is Draymond.
So what's interesting is some teams will pay the luxury tax, and some teams don't even. Some teams won't pay money to get
some. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, let's get to you, Go. Let's talk about that for a minute. So Draymond, Clay, and Steph. And let me go on the record. I'm not a big Golden State fan because I like Cleveland and LeBron, and I created a rivalry with those guys. But I have to say they are the big three. They've won 3 titles, right? The 3 of them. And they've been consistently pretty good for years. So, yeah, I would consider him. And it's just like Dennis Rodman was the 3rd person in that 3 championship run with Chicago. Draymond kind of acts that same role. In fact, he might even have a bigger footprint.
I think we need to go over the definition of a big 3. I think when I'm thinking of a big 3, it's maybe not the same as what you're thinking of a big 3. You average 7 points a game. You average 10 rebounds a game. You average 7 assists a game. If that makes you a big 3, then I'm misunderstood about what a big 3 is.
And very good on defense.
Excellent, not very good. He's
excellent. If all those assets make you a big 3, I'm misunderstood about what a big 3
for
is.
that team, though. I mean, for that team when he's out, because Klay Thompson is really just sort of getting it back in himself. But when Draymond was out, they were really doing poorly. Once he came back, they started winning. He has a big impact on that team. Now, he may go to another team and not fit in as well.
Earl, do you think that series is over? Golden State's up 3-1.
Yes.
Yes, right. Larry, you think that series is over as well?
Oh, yeah. It's game 5. That'll do it.
It's kind of scary, though, to think that Golden State has all their pieces in because they didn't have many regular season games where the 3 of them were all healthy, and now they've gotten healthy at the right time while other teams' players are starting to get hurt. And so I don't know, man. As much as I'm not a big Golden State fan, they have a shot at making a run at this thing, I think.
Well, remember about the first 20 games, they were way ahead with. And Thompson wasn't even there then.
Right.
And they were playing very well then. And then, that's when Draymond got hurt and they struggled a little bit. And Curry missed some time later in the season.
And, Wiggins, quite frankly, Wiggins made the All-Star team too this year.
Yes. So
they've got some pieces. All right, we'll move on from that. And let's talk about now the Phoenix Pelicans series. And by the way, I think that too is a great series. And I was rooting for the Pelicans last night because, again, I like chaos. And but the Suns stepped up. Bridges was terrific. So what do you think, Larry? What do you think of that series? Do you think the Pelicans still have a chance?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Every game, that's probably the best coach series with respect to making adjustments.
I like
every game, each coach makes 2 or 3 adjustments as they go back and forth. And that's how that series has gone, back and forth in the same manner. But I think I'm not sure if the Pelicans will make the next adjustment, but I think they'll give them a battle. And it always seems to be one upset, and this seems like the one that's ripe for that. Yeah. Well, I guess Philly and Toronto could fall into that too. But I look for Golden State to really win that. I look for Phoenix to win that.
Will they close it out in New Orleans on the next time they play, or will it be a game 7?
Not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure. I look for them to ultimately prevail, though.
Right. Earl, what do you think? Do you think New Orleans will win game 6, which is in New Orleans? And what's your thoughts on the series in general?
New Orleans will win game 6. To be honest with you, the sports doctor cannot make a prediction. I will predict that I have a feeling that Phoenix's players who stepped up so great last night, I have a feeling they may not step up that much.
You mean Bridges won't get 30 again? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't see it. That was what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. Anomaly, is that a word? Is that a word, Larry?
Yep, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what that was. If Phoenix, okay, I will make a prediction. Sorry for all the stumbling and stuttering. if there's no Booker, if Booker don't come back, I'm going with the Pelicans.
Sports Doctor has spoken.
I don't think he's going to be back. I don't think he's going to be back this series.
If he ain't back this series, I'm going with the Pelicans. I don't see McGee coming in acting like he know what he's doing in the paint like he was last night. The only other person I'm worried about there, if Payne is left-handed, I see him being off in the 7th game because he's vital as well. Because a lot of people sleep on that boy. That boy is pretty good. I see the Pelicans winning that game. And now, am I tripping? Mm-mm. Or do I see this boy for New Orleans getting all in Chris Paul's
Alvarez? No, he's a great. He held him twice. He held him twice to getting the ball up the court in 8 seconds. He did that twice.
And the other guy, Jones, is giving him a hard time.
It's part of the strategy, which is, by the way, you touched on this, Earl. The 2 coaches in this series have made adjustments, and they've been excellent. Contrast that to the New Jersey Nets coach or the Brooklyn coach, and I think you can see a difference, don't you?
Of course. But Steve, I mean, come on, what does he know about coaching? What does Brooklyn's coach know about coaching? What experience has he had? He probably didn't even take charge in intramural games when he was in college.
This guy Willie Green, this is his first year.
He was a coach. He was an assistant coach in.
He's been coaching though.
Oh, okay.
I'm not trying
to. Yeah, he knows that team.
Right. I'm not trying to play the race card, but they ain't giving no black man no coaching job.
Wait a minute. They've given about 10 or 12 of black guys
who never had no coaching experience whatsoever.
Yes, I can name a couple off the top of my head. Mark Jackson, Jason Kidd. There's been a few of them. Derek Fisher. All of them just right after they finished playing, they were coaches. I did the research on this.
I stand to be corrected.
I'll share it with you. There's been a bunch of them. I
guess there's been a bunch as far as that situation. It's not been a bunch of.
It's been quite a few black coaches.
They've been given a job with no experience.
Yeah. It's the ones that I named were all in that category.
So earlier I asked the question: is Tatum, now that we've watched him in the playoffs, would you put him in the top, 5, 7, 8 guys in the league? I'm asking the same question about Ingram. Would you put Ingram in the top 10 players in the league now? How special does Ingram look to you? And is he kind of like a KD light?
I'd look at Tatum a little better, but Ingram he's good. It's hard to say the top 5 or 10 because I haven't given up on these other guys. I haven't given up on LeBron,
right?
But you're like that. I haven't given up. Look at Earl's response.
He now looks like the best player. Now he looks like the best American-born player in the pros currently, doesn't he? But
Tatum?
No, LeBron James.
He don't look better than Tatum right now. You tripping?
LeBron James.
Right now, there's a bunch of them are kind of right together. Right. At one time, I would say, LeBron and Durant were way above everyone else. Now, there's a lot of guys that can play with them.
Right.
And Durant and LeBron are trending in the wrong direction. Tatum's like 24. He's okay. You're not going to drag me into this conversation, Larry. I won't let you do it. But look, I just gave credit. Right. So CJ McCollum, he's helped this Pelican. I mean, I really like this Pelican. I really like this Pelican team, and I don't dislike Phoenix, and I don't dislike Monty, but I would like to see the Pelicans win. And this next game in New Orleans is going to be critical because I think a game 7, the pressure will be, even if it's at home, I think the pressure will be on Phoenix. Yeah, I'm sorry the book is out. I mean, that really upsets the apple cart for me.
It should.
I think they'd have taken care of him by now if he was playing.
Any surprises, as we look at the playoffs in general, and we've touched on this earlier, and Larry, you're not willing to take any of the guys we've seen, either the Tatums or the Ingrams, and put them in the top 10. Is there anybody else?
No, they might be. They might be. Yeah, like I said, they're up there with, especially Tatum. I think he's up there with anybody that's playing.
Has anybody else in your eyes from the playoffs elevated themselves in the top echelon of players as a result of this playoff? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I mean, Ingram, we already included Ingram in there, right?
And Tatum.
Okay.
Anyone else jump out at you?
Go to Earl first. I have to think about it.
Earl, anybody else jump out at you?
I mean, Ingram was playing great. He's playing great, but I wouldn't put him in that category. He's playing great though.
Right.
I mean, he's always been a scorer.
How about this guy Baines? Baines isn't one of the top players in the league now?
See, he hasn't played as well as he in the playoff, even though he got about 30 the other night.
He did.
He hasn't been his normal self, shooting threes.
Right.
He's probably had two decent games.
Now, he hasn't played his way. I mean, when you talk about upper echelon of players in the NBA, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about people who have played very well for a consistent amount of time. This guy could just be having a hot series or something. That don't put him in the top echelon.
Well, let me throw a name out at you, and let me see what you think of this name, given this discussion specifically. And if you were a general manager, the Knicks or some other team that needs to get better, would you go after this guy, Brunson? This guy Brunson from Dallas. How good a player is Brunson? And he had 2 games where he had 41, 31, 23. I think they won 2 games when Doncic wasn't in. What do you think of him?
He's decent, but he hasn't gotten up there yet for me like the other guy.
If he gets the bag, it'll be another one of those big mistakes where people just paid this guy money because it was the market. Come on, wait a minute. Come on, man. Are you seriously answering that question?
Yeah, I am actually.
Well, let me go back.
I thought Brunson was great in Utah.
Washington can use him. A point guard, a team that needs a point guard. I don't think he's in the top echelon of players. But if I was a GM and I needed a point guard, he's definitely an adequate point guard.
I mean, he's going to cost you. He's going to cost you.
If you needed some reserves. Come on, man. This guy. Wait a minute. This guy's had 4 good games, and now all of a sudden he's the hottest free agent on the market. Y'all killing me.
I'm just throwing it out there.
That far.
I'm just throwing it out there.
He's a decent point guard.
Right. I'm just throwing it out there. Is there anybody, Earl, that's caught your attention that not the usual suspects?
I'm going to refrain from the rest of this dialogue.
Right, the conversation.
I'm just told. I can't even believe you guys even talk about Brunson. When you move to another subject, I will participate.
Well, I mean, okay, that's fine. All right. Well,
I tell you what, though, I think just like the same method that a lot of teams have been doing to Chris Paul and Young.
Yep.
I would put somebody on him before he brought the ball down court. That's an adjustment.
The thing I like about him, though, he's such a physical guard that he really prefers to take you inside and bully you. Brunson does. And in fact, he's got some of those herky-jerky moves like a big guy would have inside. He's pretty effective. It's not that he's shooting a lot of jumpers. He's really more physical and gets in the lane and scores that way.
That's why I would have them denying him the ball, and then when he gets it in the backcourt, I'd have somebody bothering him.
All right.
I got it, Chuck. But see, I'm one of the few people who actually listen to what people say and what people ask me when they ask in a question form. So I usually listen to what they say, and I usually try to address with what they say.
Right.
And sometimes I could hear things wrong, but I thought to me your question was, have I seen anybody else in the playoffs play their way into the upper echelon? That's what I thought that you were asking.
No, you did. You did. That a general manager. You did.
You bring up some Bubba the Week Brunson. I don't understand that question.
But Earl,
has he made his way into the upper echelon?
Well, maybe not the. I don't know. I don't. Maybe not the upper echelon.
I'm just going by what you asked me.
He has 2 questions. He has 2 questions. And I asked him, no, he's not an upper echelon.
And I don't think I was saying
general manager want to
go after.
Yeah.
And remember, I answered that too. I said, yeah, if I needed something there.
I think if you need a point guard like Washington, I think they do well to sign him because they don't have a point guard.
Well, they never have a point guard.
There are a lot. Well,
why are we even talking about Washington?
I have no idea.
You talking about playoffs? They have nothing to do with the
playoffs. That's a general manager that might sign him.
No, that's a good question. Why? But okay, is there any last comments about the NBA playoffs we'd like to add at this point before we go on? We're going to touch base briefly about the NFL, but before we did that, I just wanted to see if there's any last words you all wanted to say about the NBA playoffs before we move on. Well, I think the playoffs have been great.
Did someone send me a link that said the playoff last weekend had the biggest ratings of all the playoffs ever?
I did hear that.
It's 2011.
Since 2011.
Yeah.
Big bump. And it was big, like 37% or something like that.
What does that say about your son, Chuck? Not your stepson, not Charles Jr.
Well, it says that I don't know what it says, Earl. Okay. You know what I think it really says? I really just said what I think it really says. It says people in other cities didn't have a chance, so there was no reason in turning on the television. And now with him out, everybody comes into play. And all of a sudden, the East is good. Oh, my God, the East is terrific. Now, when he was taking the teams 8 straight years into the championship series, people were like, oh, the East sucks. So I think more teams are in play. And I think that's part of it. I do.
I think it shows that there's a lot of good basketball out there. I haven't seen a competitive – there's more parity this year, and the teams are good. I mean, in the past, what I think my good friend Chuck's referring to, I don't think they had as many teams. I think the East might have 2 and the West might have had 4. No, I think it's like 5 teams, and it's at least 4 teams in each division that have won 50 games. And it's a lot of good ball players out there. And I think it's been a great competitive tournament.
I do too. I will make one last comment about that too. I believe if LeBron had Kyrie and or Durant, like the 2 of them had each other in this past series, I don't think it would have been. I think it would have been a different series. That's all I'm saying. That's how good I think LeBron is. If he could have just had another dude come with him.
Hey, LeBron's at home. LeBron's at home.
I know. All right, we'll move on.
Let it go.
I will. Let it go. Okay. Remember, though, Earl brought it up, not me. I just want to. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Well, the answer I was looking for is the league doesn't need LeBron for it to be successful. That's the answer I was looking for.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Or KD, or
I mean,
there might be a change coming right now. James Harden. We haven't even mentioned James Harden's name. Isn't that interesting?
I mentioned my friends in Philly don't like the beard.
I know. That's what you did mention the beard, right?
That's what I referred to.
He got to step up too. If that, oh my God, I would just love that team to lose 4 games to 3.
Why would you? I'm just curious.
Because I don't like Doc Rivers.
He is a loser. I can understand.
I don't like him. I thought he threw Simmons under the bus, and I didn't like the way he fired Mike Woodson. But that's neither here nor there. All right.
He's not a good coach to me.
Well, he's done a good job with Philly, though. He did. In fact, he's changed Embiid. Embiid is better these last 2 years that Doc has coached him.
Does that mean Embiid? Does that mean that Doc Rivers changed him, or he looked at himself in the mirror and said,
he changed their offense. He started running it through Embiid instead of Simmons. He started making him touch the ball every time down, and that opened it up.
I mean, Embiid has been an MVP candidate the last 2 years. And I think that's more than a coincidence.
They changed their offense.
Well, look, before we close out the show, tomorrow is the NFL draft. where young guys are sitting around at night wondering, will their name be called? I might have been sitting around a year ago like that, but it didn't really work. Anyway, so
you were a young man a year ago.
I know a year ago I was wondering the same thing. So it's a pretty exciting time for these young fellas. And it seems like last year, Go-Go, we were really talking about Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. There was a lot of chatter about the draft. I don't hear all that much chatter this season. I don't know if I'm not paying attention. I don't know because the quarterbacks aren't being talked about. You know, you can't get excited about the linemen and the edge rushers and so forth. But the draft is a big deal. It is a big deal. So have you had a chance to take a look? And who do you guys think will be the top three? Just the top three picks tomorrow. Let's start with you, Larry. I know this is not your sweet spot.
In no particular order.
Yeah.
I'll say Walker from Georgia.
Yep.
Probably Hutchinson from
Michigan,
and I want to say Thibodeau from
from Oregon. He's from Oregon.
Yeah.
He's from Oregon.
All linemen.
They're not. They're all edge rushers.
Okay.
What I think
going back to my old days.
Right. And what I think is with Parsons having such a big impact on Dallas's team, I think teams are looking for that kind of an athlete to go on the edge and just turn them loose. So I think that's why those three guys are being named.
I'm expecting big things from Snowden III. That's my favorite player. I think he would be a great edge rusher for anybody. So
right, he's one of my
just had to get that plugged in.
Right.
John, let me give you a tip. Let me give you a tip about what you just said.
Okay.
Because of Parsons. Teams have been looking for guys like that ever since Lawrence Taylor. It's not just this.
I know. But Parsons had he went 11th in the draft or 12th in the draft last year. And they were talking about all these other guys last year. And Parsons, he had the biggest impact of all these guys last year, I think. So I think this is a copycat league. And I think other general managers are saying, well, look, can we go find us a Parsons? And I think the names that Larry mentioned are amongst those guys.
I got that.
Yeah.
But the way you were setting it up, not like now, all of a sudden, people are looking for edge rushers. They've been looking for edge rushers since Lawrence Taylor. That's all.
I know, but
I'm listening to everything that everybody says.
I know, but Lawrence Taylor, that was a long time ago, and Lawrence, it's hard.
Thank you. So why you bring that up? They don't just talk about people looking for edge rushers.
They don't grow on trees. Lawrence Taylor's. They don't grow on trees.
The reason why you're not hearing anything about the draft is because you know the most important position in the National Football League is the quarterback. There are no quarterbacks worth a damn in the draft right now. That's why you're not hearing anybody talk about it. That question is one of the easiest questions you could ask this year.
Yeah. Well, who do you think the first quarterback will be taken, Earl? Not when they will be taken, but amongst the names. The kidder from Cincinnati, the guy Pickett from Pittsburgh, the guy from Liberty,
Willis.
Yeah.
Which quarterback you think will go first?
If I was listening to what these clowns on TV say, I would say either Willis or Pickett.
Yeah.
I'm not that much of an expert on all the college quarterbacks. I just know that the Big Ten sucks as a league. That's all. That's overrated as a league. That's all. But
I don't know how we got there. But yeah,
how we got rid of the Big Ten. I don't know that much about college football except that the Big Ten is overrated. That's all. What you don't understand?
That's fine.
Do I need to speak a little slowly and distinctly so you can understand?
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Larry, I know you and I both, we're fans. I think that's the right word of the local professional football team.
I don't get to answer the last question.
Oh yeah, you do actually.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm thinking Pickett, who's going to be the first quarterback?
Yep.
I'm thinking Pickett might go. I think Carolina may pick him. Or they may trade for Baker Mayfield. I think that's kind of in play, and because they need a quarterback, as does Pittsburgh,
and so does Seattle. Doesn't Seattle need
Seattle
one?
And
just
so
signed
do
Geno-
the Commanders.
Seattle just signed Geno Smith. So I think
Come on, stop.
they signed him.
I know, but
That's how I felt when Washington signed Wentz. Stop.
But Geno
Should
is
have
worse.
felt worse.
Geno is a lot worse than. Oh God, Geno is so bad.
When your teammates break your jaw and none of your other teammates defend you and break it up, that tells you about him.
So anyway, I look for one of those teams to probably pick it, and I think Baker Mayfield might be a surprise move, and somebody may move up in the draft or something like that.
Right,
Cleveland may move up and move down.
So listen, I think I was getting ready to say, I think our favorite professional football team that resides here in the Washington metro area, they have the 11th or 12th pick in the draft tomorrow.
11.
Do you have any sense of who they'll pick at 11 or what position they will pick at 11?
Yes, to both questions. I think it's going to be Kyle Hamilton, the guy from Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
He's a safety.
I like him.
Yeah, he sort of impressed me. If he's there at number 11, I look for Washington to pick him.
He's falling, actually. He was supposed to be one of the top 5 guys earlier in the year, but at the combine or something, he ran a terrible 40, and they said he might fall to as far as 11. But he's a ball hawk. He's a good player. I hope we could get somebody like that. Hey, Earl, would you like to contribute to that comment about the local football team?
Whatever strength, if the Commanders have a strength on their team, history tells me that would be who they draft. Because they never draft anybody to improve their team. So they're more than likely probably draft somebody that they don't even need.
I think Chase Young helped that team, didn't he? They drafted him, Chase Young. Remember him?
They've done okay on their defense.
I do remember him. I remember him from his first year. I forgot about him because it's played from last year. But I do remember him, though. Yeah.
He got hurt last year. Okay. Well, look, I don't really have anything additional. You guys were absolutely fabulous. But before we sign off, we have a tradition. We go around the panel and we ask if they have any closing remarks. And I'm going to start with my good buddy, Go-Go Earl, one of the best dancers I've ever known. Go-Go, do you have any closing comments?
You need to get out and meet some more dancers if that's the case.
I'll take you against almost any of them dudes. I've been to enough parties.
Who's that one? I have to find that one. I can't remember. You did such a great job of keeping the show moving. I don't want to hold up by him and Horn. I already been stuttering most of the show. I don't have anything to say. Let's stop to get Larry.
Well, let me go to my buddy Larry. Larry, do you have any closing comments? Anything you'd like to add prior to us calling it a night?
But just back to the NBA, I think it's been a fantastic playoffs, like we said that earlier. But I think the officiating has been pretty consistent. Even though I've heard players from both teams complain, but they let them play. I'm glad they take away some of those little cheap fouls that Harden and Trae Young used to get. I am too. It's very good basketball, and I just hope it continues. Watch out for Miami.
Yeah. Oh, I do have one, Charles.
Okay, go.
I know you be saying some whack stuff, but I know you really know your basketball, and Larry knows your basketball. I'm wondering, is there any possibility that either you guys could give me an intelligent explanation in telling me what is the difference between a Euro step and a walk?
Wow.
They look very similar, don't they?
They are.
The fundamental difference is the referee blows the whistle and calls traveling on one of them.
Right. They don't call all the They don't call all the traveling all the time either.
When they put a whistle and call traveling, is
the Euro step a walk or am I tripping? I don't know. Tell me. Is the Euro step a walk?
I'll tell you what. It's an accepted move now in the NBA. Period. I don't know if it's a walk or travel. I don't know, but it is accepted now, and everybody does it.
So is it a matter that you get two steps, and traditionally they're in the same direction, but I guess what it is they step on one direction and then the other direction. It seems like two steps
before the ball hits or it seems like they've moved both the pivot foot and I don't know. I'm not a referee. Yeah. That was a question we should have asked Kevin McNutt when he was on the show. He's been a referee for 35 years, right? But I want to, before we sign off, I have one comment real quick. So last night during the Minnesota, and I've never seen this, Memphis game, the coach for Minnesota was arguing with the referee about something. And he was just standing there arguing with the referee. And Bain came over because he was going to take the ball out. Bain came over, took both hands, and pushed him aside. And he did it right in front of the refs. The ref gave him a tech, and I thought he should have been thrown out the game.
Which coach did he push?
He pushed the Minnesota
Minnesota's coach.
So the Memphis player with two hands grabbed and pushed the Minnesota coach.
I think he should be thrown out of the league. Shit,
I mean,
no, but I think Earl, you're interpreting push. I think the way he didn't shove him. I mean, he just kind of moved him to the side like he was going to stand in his spot.
Right.
So he didn't push him. He didn't push him.
Well,
I mean, he put his hands on him, which is what he did. He put his hands on his arm.
Both hands. He put both hands on him.
But he didn't push him though.
But he was kind of.
I don't think I wouldn't have thrown him out of the game for that. I thought a tech was appropriate.
Well, I tell you what, Mike Woodson coached in the league with Atlanta and with the Knicks. If that had happened to Mike Woodson, it would have been a brawl.
I mean, that coach didn't like it. It
would have been a brawl.
Well, nobody likes it. Nobody likes it when anybody puts their hands on him.
I agree with you.
And that's really what it was. He put his hands on him, like
two hands.
Yeah, like he grabbed both his hands on his arm, like.
Can you imagine a player grabbing John Thompson or Al Addles or?
Well, see, that makes me. So I already predicted, but I already know that this series is over 6. But Minnesota must have a bunch of female dogs on the team, and they didn't step up.
Why wouldn't they run to his?
Well, the coach. Well, I mean, it really wasn't that. It didn't escalate like that, Earl. The coach handled it himself.
Two hands. Nobody put two hands on me. Period.
I've never seen that before.
I think he should have got a tech, but I don't think it wasn't violent. It wasn't violent.
But his players should have came if we were down Kennedy and somebody put their hands on somebody. I would say, wait, what's going on? Somebody on my team or my coach. I mean, what's going on?
But it was over like in 2 seconds.
That's because the coach, he diffused it by saying, "Hey, man, don't do that." I mean, he didn't get.
He said like, "Get off of me" or something. I
know, but he didn't. He didn't show. He responded he responded like Chris Rock. The coach responded like Chris Rock.
And the ref called a tech immediately, and the other guy was like, "Oh my God!" You know.
All right, this ain't the Academy Award. First of all, can you imagine if somebody had put their hands on Spoelstra?
Oh yeah, they'd have banned all of them.
Jimmy Butler, Bam, and it's an old dude that's older than me still on the team would have what's the big dude's name?
I want you to look at the video first, man. You need to look at the video.
I'm gonna see if I can find it. I'll send it to you guys.
Yeah.
But look, let's get off now. Look, we went probably a little bit over, but look, I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Hey, Earl, Larry, you guys, as always, were terrific. As you guys know, I look forward every Wednesday to chop it up about sports. So I appreciate the time. Everyone, take care. Good night.
Good night. Great job, Charles.
Thank you.
Great job.